Rumpelstiltskin always says that magic comes with a price. But for this price, you can get a nice piece of jewelry. Use code ONCEPOD for 10% off your first order at Unusual Magic Jewelry on Etsy. Click the link in the description. Welcome to the Once Again podcast. We are your hosts, Ashley and Jason. Today's episode will focus on the book Once Upon a Time, Red's Untold Tale by Wendy Toliver. Ashley has taken the time to read this book, so without further delay, Ashley, take it away.
So I'm going to first off say, if you want the big details and like full-on chapter descriptions, you might want to go look at our Patreon, because I'm doing a chapter by chapter review through basically as I was reading it. So those will be posted weekly for a few couple months. So if you want to read along with me, or at least pretend you're reading along with me, because I already finished it, we can have a discussion. Maybe you'll notice things that I didn't notice. But I have a description of the book. Red is 16 and lives with Granny in a cottage in the village, where boarding up the house and hiding during wolf's time is a means of survival. Red helps Granny with Granny's baked goods business, catering as well as door-to-door sales. Red has a constant internal battle between her wild side and her strict, overprotective upbringing, and the issue of control as she discovers she has a hot temper when the mean girls push her too far. She has flashbacks to her 13th year, where she received her cloak and nickname Red. She is plagued by nightmares that she doesn't understand, but the Once Upon a Time fans will recognize them as her wolf side coming. Also, the forest creatures that used to accompany her on her deliveries are suddenly afraid of her once she turns 13. She'll be taller and faster than the others at school, and witty and strong on the outside, but she has a soft side as well. Red balances the difficult times with Granny at home and girls at school with an emerging and satisfying romance with Peter.
Okay, wow.
It is a very teen book. I will say that. It is your basic teen romance, not even YA, very, the mean girls are being mean to me and they put dirt in my basket. How could they ruin my granny's baked goods?
Well, the use of the word mean girls stood out to me. Also, the word school, like that she's going to school and everything like that. That caught my attention.
I mean, it's very village schoolhouse. It's so basically the story. There's two things I really want to talk about. The basic story is mostly Red going about her day. Her and Granny are having a hard time paying the taxes, so Red's trying to figure out what to do about that. The mean girls are teasing her because Peter likes her more than the other girls, of course. Peter likes the quirky one. And she's kind of getting her relationship with Peter kind of started, and it's wolf's time, so there's a lot of wolf dreams and it's a lot of wolf related stuff. So the wolves are killing chickens, killing cows. The wolf does kill a single man in this book. And Granny is Granny has always been very vocal about, well, we all need to stay inside and avoid the wolves, and the young people, the mean girls and all them, want this big ball, like annual summer, springtime ball to happen. So everybody kind of treats Red poorly for things that are mostly out of her control.
So besides Granny, no one else is aware of Red's condition.
Red's not aware of her condition. This is well before Snow, and this is well before Red's kind of knows what's going on. So this is definitely before anybody knows.
I thought her wearing the cloak prevented her from transforming.
It does, but she likes to sleep in the nude all the time.
Oh, well, if it wasn't a 16-year-old Red, I'd make a joke, but that's interesting.
It's okay. There's entire scenes in this book where it's like, and she liked that Peter could see her through the window, that she was nude as he walked by while he was hunting the wolf.
Wow. Yeah, wow. I think
it never says she's in the nude, but that's clearly what it implies.
Okay.
Because she's always saying like, oh, I'm not wearing anything. Like, I'm not wearing my undergarments to bed. Like, I'm not wearing anything to bed. Like,
well, we're definitely getting a look inside the character of Red with this.
Again, these books for being teen being Disney, being ABC, are sometimes very explicit in what they're saying. And I'm like, okay, we went there. All right. So the interesting plot line here comes with Granny is having a lot of pain in her arm, and Red notices, and she also knows that her cloak is magic. So she decides to go find the wizard who made her this cloak so that she can get something to help Granny with Granny's pain. The most interesting thing about this is the wizard isn't Rumple.
Oh, that's what I was expecting.
It's not Rumple.
Oh.
That's the most interesting thing about this entire book. It's a character that only features in this book. I did look up the Once Upon a Time Wiki because I want to know if he was like in something else, and I just couldn't remember. So his name is Nubbin, and I'm going to read you the description of Nubbin. The little yellow door finally cracked open, revealing, mid-chest and downwards, of a knobby man in a shirt that was once upon a time might have been possibly white, and baggy brown trousers, and bare feet with hairy toes. He ducked and stepped out, letting us see the top of him, wild yellowish white hair for his head, brows, and beard, and a long, thin nose that angled down. Clearly, the man's bloodshot eyes were struggling to adjust to the sunlight, and his knees were having a hard time keeping his body from falling over.
So he's a hobbit.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Also, again, who is this man?
Yeah. He never pops up in anything.
I mean, I can see where his description is a little rumply in description.
Yeah.
But it's not. And the other things about this, he has a pet bird named Heathcliff that talks.
Oh, that's interesting. I know the name Heathcliff is from something, but I can't think of what it is right now. But you know what you made me think of by the description of him being a little man, and I originally said a hobbit. Maybe he's the gnome that Regina turned to stone.
Maybe.
Is he an evil wizard or is he a good wizard?
He seems kind of okay because he's like, you know, Granny came to him and Granny had to Granny had been to him twice. Actually, the first time was to take away all of her memories of anything to do with like her husband and her brothers dying at the hands of wolves. But in order to get Red her cloak, she had to accept those memories back and basically give herself the pain, which is also why she has the pain in the arm, because that's the physical representation of her pain. And then he's also seen Red's mother because of the golden cross necklace that was given to her mother to basically show her wolves' dreams and what they really mean, that Red now wears as well, but that was given to his mother by the wizard as well, by Nubbin.
All right. That's very interesting.
Yeah. And when it comes to Heathcliff, I mean, Heathcliff is Wuthering Heights, I think. It's one of those. It's one of those romance novels. But it's also, I think if I remember correctly, it's the name of the bird in the Maleficent movies. Like that's the name of the character that plays the bird.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is also a talking bird of some sort.
Which is also a talking crow raven, which is exactly what Heathcliff is. So again, it's very interesting. Like I'm curious, Nubbin is supposed to be someone else in a different form. Like, is it the evil queen somehow? Like, is it Maleficent somehow? I don't know why she would be involved in this storyline.
Yeah.
But also, we only see him twice in the book. Red goes to him, and then he says he'll have a salve for her the next day to give to Granny. And the next day he says, oh, I'm packing up because I'm leaving because they're coming for me. So I have to relocate. But he doesn't say who. And I can't imagine who's coming for. Like, I don't understand who's coming for him. I don't understand who he's supposed to be. Like,
is this the first in a series of Untold Tales or no?
No, they're all kind of unrelated. Like the next book in this is Regina Rising, which is another, you know, story that's kind of outside the spectrum of this show itself, but he doesn't pop up in anything. According to the Once Upon a Time wiki, I did look to see if he was like popped up in any of the other books to make sure I wasn't missing anything, but no, he's just in this book.
Well,
this is it.
I wonder, did Wendy Toliver write the other books or no?
Wendy Toliver wrote Regina Rising. She doesn't write any of the other ones. So maybe the next one will get some weird thing, but she's only wrote this one. And
I wonder if she had the idea to put the character in there and have it going forward, but then someone put a nix on the character or something.
Could be.
Mm.
But so then the second thing that's interesting is obviously he makes a salve for Granny and he gives it to Red and says, well, it's missing an ingredient, but you need to go get it yourself. It's a quest. She has to go to Lake Nostos.
Oh, perfect timing.
Yes, with our What Happened to Frederick episode.
Yeah.
But obviously this book takes place well before Charming has to go and gets rid of the siren in the lake. Obviously Red never makes it to the lake. I don't think she gets there just because I think she's always stuck in this town, and I don't think prior to Snow really showing up does she get out of this. Like, I imagine this book takes place almost immediately before her finding out she's a wolf.
Yeah. So she never makes it to the actual lake, even though that's like what prevents her from...
It ends before it even like comes to that. Like the book kind of ends with like, okay, they think the wolf in the story that's been terrorizing the town like attacks one of the mean girls, and Red kills it, and then air quotes kills it, and then they like at the very end of the book you hear the wolf howling because it disappeared, so it's obviously still alive. I mean, that also begs the question of who's the wolf in this case, because obviously it's not Red, because Red kills the wolf.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. I misunderstood. Yeah, and it wouldn't be because shows up later.
Yeah, and the wolf is still alive, so like it could be her, but it would have to be a wolf that knows and has some connection to understand that these mean girls are being mean to her. Because obviously they're attacking the mean girls for a reason.
Okay.
Because
I took that to mean that it was like, I haven't read it, but I took that to mean that Red was the wolf attacking.
No, because Red literally stabs the wolf, so it can't be her when she's the one killing the wolf.
Maybe it is then. Like
perhaps.
She was looking out for Red from afar and attacking Regina George and all of them.
This book is it's a weird book, and it definitely does some weird things to like the overall lore, because I'm like, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I like the whole school thing. I can't get over. I like they didn't have school back then in the time frame that like this is supposed to take place. They had private,
they went to like see it. I mean, I assume it's more like a tutor. They're all like going to the schoolhouse, like
right, but only rich people had tutors.
I know, we're talking like village poor people.
Yeah, there was a West Saxon king. I think his name was Albert or Alfred. I can't remember. But what he's remembered for was he actually started school programs. Like he wanted everyone he was a very poor king, but he wanted everyone in his kingdom to be educated and be able to read. And in England, I should say, and his version, he was an Old English, like when they still spoke Old English. He was an Old English king, and his version of Old English that they spoke in his kingdom, like the spelling and everything, became the national language because of him. Like because all the people in his kingdom could read, even though he was the poorest king.
Yeah.
Out of all of them, the people in his kingdom could read, so that became the standardized Old English language. But aside from that, there weren't like schools. Like you had private tutors for rich people, but it I don't know, this whole thing is just blowing my mind.
Yeah, it's a very like, I get that they're writing it for teens, so I understand like kind of the logic of it. But what's also interesting is early on, like in one of the flashback scenes, they mentioned like writing that Granny is reading stories to the kids like early on, like before they're old enough to really go to school, and that all the stories are fairy tale stories themselves. She reads them the story of Lake Nostos. She reads them the story of Sleeping Beauty, and I'm like, but they live in fairy tale worlds. These are real stories. Like this is them. They are the people. I'm confused.
Yeah, when was the book published?
The copyright is 2015.
Okay, so season 1, 2011, 2, 2012, 3, 2013, 4. That's pretty far into the season when this seasons when that got published. Like they had Sleeping Beauty on the show by that. Well, whatever. It's it's like everything that we've talked about this before, that it's like Star Wars. You can have books and everything, but if they want to do something different with the main canon, that's the canon. I don't know, but yeah, it does sound interesting. All these different things that they're throwing out there. I'm trying to remember, was because I genuinely can't remember. Was the wolf originally, right? And then when Red was born, she no longer became a wolf, or was it Red's grandfather?
I think it was.
Yeah. So she wouldn't be the wolf at this point in the story then, because I was just thinking, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, it adds a little more to the character. Certainly, the fact that she likes being naked in front of Peter, and that adds to Peter and the wolf story as well.
It's such an interesting, like I said, it's a good book, but it's also just so outside the realm of normalcy for what we see in Once Upon a Time.
So you do recommend reading it then?
I would say reading it if you want a good, like, Red's backstory. I mean, it doesn't really add to her personal story. Like, I wish there was more to her being a wolf, like, in this, but I think, if you're curious for yourself, like, what's going on with Nubbin or anything, like, I didn't see, like, I was trying, there weren't any allusions, in my opinion, to let me know, like, who he was, but.
Well, that's something, if anyone listening to this knows Wendy Toliver and can get her contact information to us, or give her our contact information, we would love to interview you and see what was going on. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say. Is there anything else, like, do you want to give it a rating, or?
I mean, probably give it like a 6 out of like 10. It's not
Okay.
it's not like the best book if you're looking for something a bit more complicated of a read. It is a teen book. It's not an easy read.
They tend
Probably
to be
like it's very like middle grade-ish. So like if you're looking for something easy that you're gonna like blow through, sure. But if you want something more complicated, don't, I wouldn't bother. I would go on the Patreon and just read
your summaries.
Read my summaries of the chapters. You'll probably get just as much out of it.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Anything else you'd like to add to the episode, or?
No, I think we're good.
That concludes this bonus episode of the Once Again podcast. Thank you for joining us. Any questions, comments, or critiques can be addressed to either our email at onceagainpod@gmail.com or on Twitter at onceagainpod. If you are feeling generous and would like to contribute to the podcast, we have several tiers available on patreon.com/onceagainpod. Also, a like and a share would be greatly appreciated. Thank you and have a wonderful day.